Quite early on, I mean this was 2 years ago I started this degree, there was quite a clear shift of those that were up for it and those that really weren't. The bottom line was this: they all said, we want to be ready to sell in any way possible. And that was the publishers that already were looking towards doing digital reading and those that weren't. And from a publishing point of view, the sale of the books is obviously what runs the business. So I was trying to show publishers new ways that they could sell books with other factors that would add to the story. So for my dissertation project, I decided to try and publish my fourth novel, which was partly written as a blog. So it's a story called Staying Single. Partly autobiographical, but I won't tell you which bits are and which bits aren't. It was a woman's quest to stay single for a year. She has loads of really bad dates, and she decides she'll take herself off the market for a year, not interested, and see how she goes. But in the story, she's a journalist for a magazine, and the media get hold of the fact that she wants to stay single for a year. And loads of men with big egos come along, and they want to be the one to make her break her quest to stay single. So it all becomes this big media hyped up thing. I wrote the story as blog entries every day. I started off thinking that I would simply upload what I'd written as a chapter to the blog. It'd be really easy to do that. And I was so wrong and so shocked to find it didn't work like that. For a start, my chapters were usually 3,500 words-ish, and to have that as a blog entry is mind-blowingly boring. I had to cut it up into smaller chunks of maybe 1,000, 1,500 words, which meant because I had less word space to get my point across, I kind of had to rewrite how I was writing it, because the bits I was dragging on with, I couldn't do. Each blog entry had to have something in it that brought the people back the next day. I offered for readers to receive chapters by email, so I had quite a few subscribers, and every day, in addition to posting the blog entry, I sent them out the chapter that I'd done as an email attachment. I had little business cards printed, which actually were free on a site I found online, just kind of giving a little bit of a leader into the story. And it escalated into something quite big in terms of marketing this online story. I had daily posts on Blogger, emailed to subscribers from Sophie, who was the character. I created her own email address, sophiereagan@yahoo.co.uk. I started off podcasting chapters until I got to maybe 7 chapters and realised how long it was taking me to do. I had no idea it would take that long to read each chapter, and that kind of fell to the wayside. And already it was becoming too big for just me. I needed a production team really, which I didn't have, but it became quite big. I set up a sister site, Sophie Dilemma, where later in the story she's faced with a series of dilemmas, and I wanted readers to come in and say, well, she should do that or she should do that. And I wanted the readers to interact with how Sophie's story developed. I made little YouTube documentaries discussing chat-up lines. And I went out with my camcorder and got quite a lot of footage initially. Some of it was coming outside of nightclubs and pubs on a Saturday night, so I got all the drunken people. Then I'd go into offices and say to people, is this going to go online, do you mind if I do this? I got 5 of them done. I'd done 2 a week, each one was 3 minutes long, anything more was boring. And once people started to realise it was going online, they became a bit funny about it, you know, that they could be seen on the internet. And there was a friend of mine who was really lovely, really vain, and she'd done a really great piece about how she chatted up the bank manager to get a loan. Really brilliant piece that I put into this documentary. And she rang me at work a few days after, and she really complained that she was on the internet. She didn't look nice. And I said, oh, come on, just leave it on there, you know, you're like 5-10 seconds in a series, like let it just stay. She didn't want it to be on there. So I was a bit sneaky really, I probably shouldn't say this on camera, but I went in as a commenter on the blog. And I said, wow, the blonde in the video is really hot, right? So on the back of that, a few more people commented and said, yeah, she's really nice. And I was like, wow, this is great. So she rang me that night and she said, I've had another look at that video, can you not take it off? I was like, oh, okay, fair enough, which is really sneaky, but I will tell her one day about that. So that started to create a bit of a community around the whole documentaries. After 5 or 6 of them, I found it hard to get people to speak to me. And I decided then to throw it out and get people to participate by sending emails of chat-up lines, good ones, bad ones, ways they've been dumped, ways they've met somebody, all their kind of little love stories. And that really took off as something that was quite massive. I mean, the blog itself in 12 weeks had nearly 7,000 hits, which was quite a shock anyway. I had nearly 600 people subscribing to receive the emails by the chapters by email. But I would say if I had to pick anything from that list that was the most popular way to participate in the story, outside of commenting on the storyline, it would be the documentaries on YouTube, which to me showed that, like has been said before, people just want to join in. You'll see one in a minute that I've done, and I did set them to music and had my hand slapped by my tutor for taking off copyright for music and stuff. But I'll show you the ones with the music, because I really thought the music went with each one. I created communities on Bebo, MySpace and Facebook. I learned a lot about the demographics of who was using each one. Bebo was very much teenagers, early 20s. It was very much like, you know, oh, I did this for my homework, or I'm doing this and I'm studying that. MySpace, I found, was a lot of 40-something people who were trying to do the kind of internet dating thing. There's quite a few weirdos on there. Facebook was kind of really in its early stages then. So although Sophie had a profile on Facebook, it wasn't a very active community at the time. I imagine it'd be very different now. I used to Twitter from my mobile phone as Sophie, and those little updates of what she was doing would automatically appear on the sidelines of the blog. So it could, I always made it something quite cryptic, like, oh wow, I didn't think he would say that. And then people would get the alert on Twitter, which then would lead them back to the blog to see what I was talking about. Once a week I went into Second Life as Sophie and would put on the blog where and when we would meet each time. And I gathered quite a community on Second Life of people that were coming to see Sophie every week, and through virtual chat we were talking and they were asking Sophie things about what she would do. I also got quite a new community on Second Life of people that I just bumped into. They were like, who are you, where are you? And obviously I was pretending to be Sophie. I had a little forum that I set up, and I was absolutely knackered trying to beat everybody on the forum just to get it going, and that fell to the wayside after 2 weeks. I just didn't have the time. And I put a little small micro poll on there, you know, saying, have you ever been single for a year, 6 months? I've never been single ever. I always have to have a partner. And that was quite good too. People just like to simply click and say what their experiences were.